A very good morning, everyone. This is Arpan Makwana here. We'll wait for a couple of minutes for other people to join in so that we can have more attendance and we'll start then. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. So let's start the presentation today. My name is Arpan Makwana, and I'm the Senior Vice President of Innovation Practice. So I manage this practice for eVersus globally. And I also have Rohan, who is a solution architect for IM. And we are going to talk about how do we enhance the security with identity and access management. And we will see how we have implemented the solution for other people across the globe and what benefits people have got out of this solution. Let me start with the presentation here. So this is the agenda for today. I will quickly give you an introduction about eVersus, who we are and what we are doing in this space. And then we will talk specifically about the solution, how it is broken down into different pieces, how we have implemented identity and access management, and what were our key learnings from all the implementations that we have done so far. And then we will also tell you the implementation methodology that we have, and then how we add a lot of value to our customers, and how do we enable them to have a secure, well-functioning environment. And then lastly, we will look at the customer references. So let me quickly move on to the introduction part. So as an organization, we are completely focused on Oracle applications. So we've got more than 1,500 customers so far, and more than 1,000, 1,200 customers on cloud. These are certain references in terms of the number of customers that we've got. So we implement all Oracle solutions, whether it is ERP, HCM, or EPM solutions, or BI and advanced analytics kind of solutions like machine learning and artificial intelligence. So we are a pure play Oracle customer, Oracle vendor, and we've been implementing these solutions for different customers across the globe. So we are present in almost 31 countries as of now, implementing different types of solutions and enabling our customers to do the best with their infrastructures. So you can see we specialize in all different pillars that come from Oracle. We also have cutting edge solutions like robotic process automations, chatbot, artificial intelligence, IoT, machine learning. So these complete the overall 360-degree requirement of a customer. So they start off with basic implementations like ERP and HR implementations, and then we take them to advanced solutions like machine learning and IoT kind of applications. So it's like a one-stop shop for all basic as well as advanced solutions that we provide. We also do a lot of business consulting. We do implementation, and we also do a lot of managed services like doing the end-to-end service maintenance as well as enhancements for our customers. And there are certain verticals that we have created in EOSs, which are managed by vertical experts. So we've got subject matter experts. So for example, we talk about banking. We have people who have worked on in banking vertical. Similarly, healthcare, we've got doctors and physicians on board. So that way we have subject matter experts who are leading these verticals. So they help us to uh, implement the right solutions and understand the client's requirements. So we don't have to go in a traditional way wherein we seek for the requirements and then develop something. So we've got a lot of pre-built solutions by vertical which help us to implement the solutions accurately and also in an efficient time frame. So we've been recognized with a lot of global awards at Oracle Open World in US, and we've received ERPM Partner of the Year, similarly HCM Partner of the Year, and we have also done a lot of technology related implementations for which we were recognized. So um, there are certain testimonials that we will also share with you later. But this is an important achievement for us, wherein we are also present in the Gartner's Magic Quadrant, which help us to get the visibility that we were expecting. So that's how we are working in Middle East as well as in all other regions, and this helps us to also get all our global experience down to each and every implementation and make sure that we implement not only the best practices but we also give a very scalable solution to the customers. So as I had mentioned, we've got more than 1,500 consultants on board, which are like EOSys consultants. We have done more than 1,100 cloud implementations, more than 150 on-premise implementations. So these really help us to get on to right side of implementations. These are certain advanced solutions that we also implement for organizations like chatbots or digital assistants, whether they are internal chatbots or external chatbots, which are from the customer side or customer facing. Then Internet of Things, which help us to do a lot of real time asset tracking, health tracking for the workers, fleet monitoring, and all that. Similarly, a production monitoring for manufacturing. So these are on IoT. Then we also help organizations to lift and shift all their infrastructure to the cloud environment so that they can reduce their expenses on managing and maintaining their own infrastructure. We automate a lot of business processes as well as ERP and IT processes using RPA. It can be UiPath or automation anywhere. So this helps them to save a lot of time and effort and also do all their processes accurately without any problems. Artificial intelligence and machine learning sit on top of advanced analytics and autonomous data warehouse, which helps them to automatically manage their own data warehouse rather than having additional people to manage and maintain the data warehouses. So this is in a gist all that we do in terms of the technology components as well as in terms of the cutting edge solutions that we've got on board. Moving forward, I would want to get Rohan on board. Rohan, over to you, please.
Thank you, Arpan, for the introduction. And before we proceed, let's have a poll question. So,
So we've seen that a lot of organizations have either uh, started their journey before the pandemic started, or
mhm.
they were impacted during the pandemic. So we would want to understand how was your journey during the overall situation that we have on hand. Did that impact positively or negatively? We would want to understand whether it actually impacted your digital transformation journey or not. So I'll launch a very quick um, poll question for all of you. It will be helpful if you can answer them. So I'll close the poll in another 5 seconds. Okay, thank you so much. We'll close the poll now. Here, Rohan.
Okay, thank you. Good morning to everyone, and welcome to this webinar. So now we'll concentrate on more on identity and access management part, which is also known as identity governance. So what is identity governance, if you can explain? So identity governance, in a nutshell, comprises of three main pillars or three main foundations, which upon which it is built. First is the questions like who currently has access, who should have access, and how is access being used. So these three are the most important questions who which drive the foundation of identity governance. So identity governance, basically we whenever we implement any identity governance project or identity and access management project, we derive some strategic objectives that any organization will like to fulfill those. So what we concentrate on is a cost effective unified approach. Like for example, you or your organization has multiple applications and multiple users and multiple user types, and a lot of transfers are happening, and also the designation change, and a lot of accesses are there, right? But there's no centralized view or centralized system to manage those. So identity governance provides you with a cost effective unified approach where you can control end to end user lifecycle management, plus maintain the accesses, also reporting work you can do, it provides, and you can manage the compliance part of it. So the cost effective unified approach is one of the main strategic objectives that we meet by implementing identity governance. Second is, while right now currently in a world that we live in, privacy compliances like GDPR, OECD, CCPA, these compliances are even PCI DSS, right, for the banking. So these regulatory compliance are can be very much tough to handle if we don't really control the user accesses and prevent the fraud and breach that are happening. So for this things, identity governance provides a very good framework for you to manage the access, also provide the features like segregation of duties, and controlling the entitlements of the user, managing the passwords, limiting the access, enforcing the need to know, and the least privilege principle on which it is built upon. So also it reduces the user account administration, manual user account administration, since the system is there to do the automation and also monitor and flag the inconsistencies, or you can say the fraud detection. This processes can be done by identity governance. So very efficient and effective way of integration it provides, where it gives you a lot of connectors to build upon. It acts as a middleware, and you can connect to n number of systems or whatever applications you have in your organization. HRM is being an authoritative source where, let's suppose HR, some new guy enters joins an organization. When HRM is administrator enters the details in HRMS, uh, Identity governance platform will detect this change, detect this new entry, and reconcile or aggregate this entry. And depending on the organization policy or access control metrics defined in an organization, and with the effective integration with the help of connector with a number of systems, it can automatically propagate or provision the accounts for this user depending on the access control metrics. So very efficient way, and very quickly it gives you, and gives any user the access and also monitors the access. And it gives you a beautiful password management framework, where currently in any organization Active Directory is used, right, for logging on Windows login. So when the password is changed, right now currently in what happens is, one user may have many accounts in many applications, and those passwords will be different in all the applications, and users sometimes forget all these passwords in all these applications, since there is no single sign-on predefined in an organization, and there is no password synchronization. This leads to a lot of chaos, and a lot of password reset request for the administrator. So there's a lot of overload in that area. So implementing identity governance will help you with synchronizing the password, managing the password, and complying with the industry or your organization's password policy. So it has a very good password framework. So we meet this objective using identity governance. And last but not the least is group and rule management, where we deal with the end user entitlements, like the actual application access. Let's say if I take an example of EBS, there is entitlements. If I take an example of Active Directory, there are groups. So all these groups or rules or entitlements can be managed via a centralized identity governance platform, where you can where the user can go and request for the entitlements, and also the administrator can view that access and revoke the access if needed. So let's move on to the next one. So, what exactly is identity governance that I was talking about? So, it provides you with a lot of features. It's not just about user provisioning. Mainly, it is concentrated on two main factors, which is lifecycle management and compliance management. Let's talk about lifecycle management first. So, user provisioning is one of the key feature of any identity governance and administration platform. Since when we talk about any data breach or any fraud happening, it is mainly related to the elevation of privileges. Any user having more accesses than he is entitled to can lead to a breach and can lead to a data leak, or any other malicious intent. If he has, then he can misuse that access. So for controlling that, user provisioning feature will enable any end user with a well-defined access policy to have a limited access, enforcing the least privilege principle, and also the need to know of that particular user position. So depending on the user position, we can configure the role-based access control, which is the way to do it, where we can map the particular accesses of the end user applications to that particular role. And once the user role gets changed, like for example he's getting promoted or he's getting transferred to some another location, at that particular time his role will change, and all the earlier accesses will be lost, and the new accesses will be given to him automatically within no span of time. And this will really help you and speed up the process, speed up the provisioning process. And the user will, end of the day, user will be happy with with the accesses, and administrator will also be happy, since there is no extra accesses to the list attached to that particular user or user role. So this is the key feature of lifecycle management. Another key feature which I just talked about in the last slide was password management, where the end user can change the password using the self-service, reducing the overhead of the administrator. And also once he changes the password in his Active Directory, it can get synced to all the applications, so there will be a single password for all the user accounts that he has access to. Another good feature about lifecycle management is access request, where it is just like any other e-commerce website, Amazon or any other site, that eBay, that you go and shop for your for items that you need. A similar fashion, identity governance platform gives you a shopping cart like experience, where you have an entire 360-degree view, where the user will have an entire 360-degree view of entitlements or roles that he wants of another all the connected applications, and he can request or remove that particular access on his own. So he has a catalog over there where he can view all this access he already has and what he wants. So they can log into catalog, and which is a part of a self service, of course, and easily manage their accesses and request, which of course will trigger a approval workflow as per the organization's need, and we can tailor it easily. It can have a single approval like his manager, or it can have a multi approval like manager, second level of approval, and special approvals also. So these all things can be customized in identity governance platform. So there are a lot of plugin points where we can put on, or as an implementation partner, we can customize the solution to meet your organization need. Moving on, in compliance management, there's a bridge, like rule management comes between both, to manage the compliance also, and also for managing the accesses. So there's a feature of role management where let's say there are 10 15 accesses, right, entitlements, which is divided into 5 roles. So this kind of rules can be we can help you to identify these kind of rules by checking the accesses of the user and defining that particular role and assigning that role those particular privileges only. So this helps in automating the assignment of the groups or roles for the user. And also if some suppose tomorrow I have requested one role, right, and if my position gets changed, so that role can be easily removed, and all the accesses can be removed with that particular role. So it's easier way to manage the accesses of the user. Next thing is access certification. So we have a feature of access certification, where a supervisor or application owner or the data owner of any application can review the access of his subordinates or direct reportees, and can take an action, or action if the supervisor feels that okay, this was a temporary access, but the user does not need this access anymore. So there's an option to revoke that particular access and also certify that particular access. So this enables the organization to have a top down and bottom up approach both, so that the accesses are managed in such a way that it will not lead to any security breach in future, so that we can control the accesses of the user in a very much certified manner, and also in a smooth manner. So talking about policy enforcement, we can also create a policies, like for example, there is a situation where there are two roles. One is of paying the invoice, and one is of creating an invoice. So these two are, if a person has both these roles, he can easily lead to it can easily lead to a fraud, right? A person can create an invoice and pay himself. So these kind of rules, there are a lot of rules in organization defined, right? So these kind of things we can define in the identity governance platform, and we can create a rule, and immediately if any such condition is met, it triggers a violation, and administrators are informed about this. So we can diffuse the situation by removing those accesses, and also it prompts for a warning signal whenever the user requests for certain kind of, suppose the user doesn't know about this accesses, what it might do, right? So it can also flag the violation and the warning sign. So this again will help the organization to to avoid such kind of potential breaches that could happen. And last 2 points will be risk assessment, where the user depending on the high level of accesses, any organization will have certain core banking applications, let's say, or very critical applications where sensitive data is present, and we can mark those applications accesses as a high risk application. So at the end of the day, whatever user has access to, whatever entitlements he has access to, we can monitor, supervisor can monitor, or administrator can monitor how many levels of accesses he has, and we can flag that account as a high risk account, and we can can take an action during the access certification time. Last but not the least will be the analytics and reporting, where identity governance platform provides a lot of out of the box and also customizable reports, where you can view the entire 360-degree view of the user entitlements access, when the user got logged into the system, what accesses he is requesting for. All this historical data as well as the new data will be present in this reports, and there's a lot of ad hoc queries that administrator can plug into the system and get the reports on ad hoc basis. So it is highly customizable and highly user friendly portal to use, and it will really help the organization to monitor the user lifecycle management and also the access management point of view. So moving on, just let's proceed with the poll question once, based on the understanding which I just went through. So if we just can, answer in a poll, we'll wait for a few more seconds. Okay, thank you for your response. So I can see that a lot of you guys have just a second. Yeah, so I can see that a lot of you guys have marked data security as as a main area where it is very difficult to manage. The privileged access is also mainly for the reason for any data breach is user having a lot of accesses, right? So to manage that, we have a feature of privilege management, also privilege account management in our domain, where we manages those privileged accesses. So, speaking about our implementation experience of we have implemented in a lot of multiple sectors and very hybrid systems and a lot of different functionalities, and we have some key learnings for any smooth identity and access management project or implementation. To there's no delays in any implementation, and also we have a very smooth delivery. So these are some, as you can see, these are some key learnings that we have noticed, and we always consult this with our customers, and we on the very first day we try to align our requirements with these key learnings that we have, and also focus more on the security perspective. So first, most important key learning that we have is importance of the access control matrix. So any organization drives on like user accesses drives on whatever role he or she possesses, right? Depending if we have a well-defined access control matrix, is very much easier to define the policies around it and also control the user accesses. So if like I said, in the rule management part, we generally do the consulting around how many users have this access, what are the we identify the critical accesses, and we mark it as a high risk, and help you define if it is not already present access control metrics, and then incorporate that same in the identity governance platform. Second most critical part will be the approval workflows. Like let's say it's a core banking or any public sector critical application. Okay, and we it these accesses are very much highly sensitive. So we help you define the multiple level of workflows, like how approval workflows, that what are the hierarchy that you need to set as per our experience, and we'll try to consult in that area. Another third key learning that we have and we experience is this is mainly related to banking sector, where the many temporary transfer cases happen, where suppose a teller in one branch goes as a teller in another branch, so it's for a day or just 2 days, right? So that he needs new accesses depending on that particular location, and this kind of scenarios we have handled in past, and we have a key understanding of how to implement this, and we have a consulting background also in this area. So we always focus more on the transfer scenarios more, because it leads to a lot of access aggregation, and we try to control that. Another thing which is important is temporary disabled in the case of users critical application. Suppose the user is going on vacation, right, or going is legally suspended, so you don't want him to have still his access enabled. So system has an ability to easily detect these kind of changes and disable temporary disable his critical applications accesses, so there's no further fraud chances, potential fraud happening. So these kind of things we already focus more on in the requirement gathering phase itself, and also we engross that in our design. Another thing is we on while before starting the integration with any other application, we identify the business owner and make the full authoritative access right to that particular owner. uh, the last 2 points will be the departments mapping bit with the both. We drive a sheet where we map all the particular attributes of HRMS system, since HRMS will be the authoritative source or the source of truth for us for any identity governance platform. So we try to map the attributes on the level of HRMS attributes, and we have a clear already defined matrix where we hand it over to a customer and help them to fill that, so that we have a entire overview of how these attributes are getting mapped to end user application. And last point will be application readiness. We help in depending on our since our experience in that lot of applications we have integrated, we have a certain kind of pre-check list where we check the application readiness before the integration, so that we have a smooth round of integration. So this is how the picture will look when we enable the identity lifecycle management, where the new user will join and he will have to not struggle to get his accesses. Like if there is no identity lifecycle management, right, he will have to fill a lot of forms and chase a lot of admin teams to get that particular access, right? So once we enable the identity lifecycle management, system will anticipate, okay, this is the role, and will give the access accordingly, so efficiently within a matter of minutes the new user will get his new accounts and new passwords without wasting any time, and he can start his work. So accurate automated provisioning it can trigger, and it can not only employees, it can manage contractors also, partners also, where many HRMS system does not handle contractors. Let's say it can handle only employees. So identity governance platform give you a window where it can act as an HRMS for contractors or partners, where you can directly create the users in that in the system, and you can control from there with the approval workflow, of course. So and also once the user leaves the organization, this is the main area where user resigns or user is terminated, then also the user has the access. It is a very common scenario, because where the system doesn't where the system is not in place, the administrator will have to manually take an action, but the system will do that for you, and system will automatically detect and revoke all his former accesses, so there is no potential breach. And again, to reiterate the point, whenever the user role changes, the system can automatically detect and do the needful. Also, since the password management is in place, there is a single password overall. So we there's a process of single sign-on, where the user will have to log in only once to a particular site, and we can enable the access management part of it and enable the single sign-on or zero sign-on if the user is logging to Windows, then domain, then he will have access to all the entitled application data already has. So in combination, identity and access management works smoothly in restricting the access of the user, and also providing the user friendliness in accessing the portals or accessing any other web application. So it highly addresses data security, and also can incorporate features like multi-factor authentication for the critical applications, and also manage the entitlements across. So before we move on to the next segment, let's have one quick poll question. So we'll wait for a few seconds. I request you all to please submit your poll so that it, yeah, thank you. Thank you all for your response. I can see very much distributed response, and it actually whatever options you was there in the poll all can help you better, and it addresses all these concerns and all these areas. So identity governance can really help you with this. Moving on to discuss about our implementation approach. Arpan, can you take this up, please?
Sure, Rohan. Thank you. So we've designed a unique approach, which is called the adopt approach, which means advisory, design, orchestrate, prepare, and transition. So it's a universal implementation methodology that we are following in almost all our implementations. So what we do as a part of this implementation is that we try to make sure that we follow the best practices in terms of implementing any product, and we also identify if there are any risks or any deviations that can be identified, before even we start the overall project. So if you can see, before we start the implementation project, we have something called as project readiness or week zero, wherein we try to identify or make sure that we've got all the people throughout the implementation period, from both from EVOSs as well as from the customer side, making sure that there are no unplanned leaves, or there are no gaps in the implementation duration. So we also plan for any contingencies, so that at any point in time we make sure that we don't overshoot the timeline as well as the budget of implementation. So apart from that, the we finalize the project charter as well as the detailed project plan, and make sure that the project objectives and KPIs are accurately set, which means that we just don't want to go live with the application for the namesake. We want to make sure that when we go live, or when users start using the application, we clearly identify, or we clearly see if we have achieved the project's objectives or the KPIs in a long run. So we keep monitoring even after we go live. So the first step is advisory, wherein we make sure that we understand the success criteria, we make sure that we identify all the business requirements in terms of the implementation of the project, and we also make sure that we discuss the key strategies and the success criteria of the projects. So we do a lot of consulting rather than just technical implementation of the application, which help us to not only understand the client's business accurately, but also understand what are the right pain areas that we need to address during the implementation. The second important area is design, wherein we make sure that we accurately design the applications infrastructure as well as the integrations, or technical connections with other applications. We also showcase the application in the CRP1, or the workshop hands-on workshop session, wherein we try to identify if this was as expected, or does this meet the KPI, yes, no. And then we identify the gaps, and once the gaps are being worked on, then we do the CRP2 again. So this makes sure that the customer is seeing the application multiple times before we go live. So it's not a traditional waterfall approach. We make sure that we are following a very agile methodology, so that the customer can see how the application is changing or being improved upon as and when we are in the implementation process. The third area is orchestrating, where we do the end-to-end testing. We also do the system integration. So the good thing here is we make sure that we do different types of testing, like load testing, stress testing. This is all automated. So we are using RPA to do all our internal testing, integration testing, as well as system testing, to make sure that the appropriate load or number of users are logging into the application simultaneously, to see the break of the system, the break point of the system, and make sure that we resolve all the defects if they come out from the automated testing. Then that's when we do the key user training as well, making sure that the key users from the client side are well trained on the application, and they can also do the testing from their side to make sure that it meets all the client's requirements. So once we do in the prepare stage, once we do the loading of the data, creation of all the users, that's when we do the user acceptance testing, making sure that the users are comfortable or confident about the system. And then we do the transition plan to move on to the production environment. So as I mentioned, going live is not the only success. I would say the applications need to be used, the KPIs need to be achieved. So during the hypercare, we keep monitoring the KPIs, the success of the implementation, and do a very close hand holding for the end users as well as for the admin users to make sure that they are independent uh, while using and managing the application by themselves. So that's how we make sure that the project is well managed. We make sure that we achieve all the KPIs through the quality assurance, and we make sure that more and more automation tools are used in the overall implementation to ensure accuracy as well as quality of implementation. Over to you, Rohan.
Thanks a lot, Arpan. Yeah. So moving on, we focus on, like, we work on a milestone basis, and we have certain milestones defined, where we start off with the initiation and project kickoff, where we have a integrated project plan like any other projects, and also have a weekly status reports and infrastructure design. We do it, and we enable the security management from the very start of the initiation. And our next milestone will be the requirement specifications, where we can do the consulting around what exactly is the organization's pain area regarding identity and access management points. And also we do detailed designing in this section. And third milestone will be designing the specification document, where we go very much detailed about what exactly the design and architecture it will, and how it will address your issues. And we provide the design specification document, detail level and high level both. And also we design the test case solution document for SIT and UAT in this phase itself, so that we work towards that at the end. So fourth milestone will be foundation build and integration. This is the important milestone, since this is the area which concentrates on actually building the environment and deploying and testing out at the initial iterations of any deployment plan. And fifth will be the user acceptance testing, where the your actual business users or data owners or end users can test the the identity governance platform. And also we develop a training program where we follow the train the trainer approach, where we train your administrators or and your user help desk users, or your senior management, to have a overall view of the system, how it is. And last phase will be the production rollout, where we guide you through considering our experience. We guide you how to plan the production rollout. Let's say you have a lot of branches or a lot of departments, right? So we to give an example, we just focus on more critical area and more user base of the department, and we concentrate those areas or going live first. And we do it phase wise, so that we have a whole response and feedback of all the users and improve in that direction. So this is our deliverables that we offer. So why Evosis? Like, what value addition we have? So first and most important thing will be, like, we have a implementation experience in of identity and access management in banking as well as public domain. We have done several projects in that area, and we have we very much have an understanding about what exactly the pain areas are, and how to drive that particular project. And we have learned from our implementation experience in that. And we always follow a consultative approach, where we dig in the pain areas and try to understand the exact requirements at the very start, and also considering the security in mind, we design the solution in that way. Third thing is we have a direct interaction with the proposed team members on a ground level, so that we understand their application better before integrating that. And also we are willing to link our payments to the project successes. So we define, as Arpan mentioned, we have certain KPIs and we continuously monitor those KPIs, right? So on certain KPIs, we are also willing to link our payments to the project successes, depending on the milestone. And also we have a very much strong knowledge on Oracle application suites, not only just Oracle identity and access management products, but also, as Arpan had mentioned earlier, that we deal with many Oracle cloud applications also, and on-premises applications also. So we have better understanding of end user applications, so that before integration we already have the predefined prerequisites or metrics in place, so that it enables a smoother integration. And also we have implemented a lot of projects in Middle East, so that presence is always there, which can help you understanding the technology better, and also the environment of the organization better. So this is the value addition that Evoso can provide. As you can see, the customer references, we have implemented the cloud access management using Oracle IDCS in Vodafone. We have implemented identity management in NHS Digital, which is a U chain of hospital in UK. And we have also implemented in Emirates Nuclear Energy Corporation, mainly in access management, where we implemented Oracle Access Manager as a access management tool. And we provided single sign-on integrated with Oracle e-business suite there. Also, we have implemented in a Crown Prince Court of UAE, where we are again implementing access management single sign-on in that area. And last but not the least, we have implemented in Ministry of Defense of UK, where we have implemented identity management to help them handle around 6 to 7,000 users for the provisioning, and mainly enabling the identity lifecycle management for them. So before we end this, let us have one more last poll question. And if you have any questions, you can type in the chat window. Request you to please give your answers. Thank you. Thank you for your responses. It was a lovely session for me, and I hope to answer your questions. If you have any questions, you can um, paste it in the chat window.
Rohan, we have a question from Omkar. Um, it um, it is asking about what is the typical time frame for an IAM implementation, and if you would want to answer that.
Yes, yes, sure. So, typical time frame generally depends on the how many applications are present and in scope. So, let's say if there are 4 to 5 applications, then we target the implementation in 6 months, depending on if they want to go only with identity management, then it can take around 4 months. But if they want identity management and access management both, then it might take to 6 months. So that is a typical time frame that we target.
Any other questions so far? So there's another question. How do we compare Cisco ISE with our IAM that we are proposing from Oracle?
Yeah, so generally, any like we not only deal with Oracle, we also can implement SailPoint, but we follow whatever the Gartner tells us. Like for example, Oracle and yeah, SailPoint is a hot products right now in the market with a lot of features, right? And we for the features comparison, there's always certain things that we can focus more on. Like SailPoint is very much user friendly. Oracle is very much rigid, and they can drive a lot of heavy processes. So these kind of comparisons we can do, and if given a chance, we can give the benefit analysis on both. Since we have not dealt with Cisco ISE in the past, I cannot give you a detailed answer as of now, but definitely we can compare the pros and cons of both. Would you recommend a portal solution too with IAM? Because IAM solution may not sell an organization since IAM has limited portal capacity. No, SailPoint gives you a lot of flexibility. Even Oracle gives you a lot of flexibility in the portal side. Well, self-services is very good managed in the recent versions in 12c of Oracle and SailPoint's 8 version. It provides you a lot of flexibilities where the user you can customize that catalog also, where the user can use a self-service portal to change his passwords or request for the new entitlements. So I will not agree on that part because they are improving a lot of. They're improving a lot. They have introduced AI and SailPoint also to you know uh, uh, trigger the suggestion and all those things. So they're improving in that sector. But yeah, it also gives you a integration connector with a lot of other third-party portals. You can directly integrate with, like ServiceNow is one example. They give you an integration platform to connect to the ServiceNow, so you can also integrate with your existing portals. Thank you. Any more questions?
Great. So I think no more questions from the audience. We can wrap up the call. There's one last question. Can we categorize EVOSes as ERP, HRMS? Um, I mean, I didn't understand the question, but if you're asking about the capabilities to implement, we not only implement ERP or HRMS, but we implement all the solutions that come from Oracle as well as certain non-Oracle solutions. As Rohan mentioned, we also implement SailPoint. In some cases, we implement Google, Google's or Microsoft services as well, wherein these kind of vendors have an edge in those products. So we do that as well.
I guess, Arpan, these were the last questions,
Okay,
so we can end this.
great. Thank you very much. Thank you all for sharing all your questions, and we'll be happy to get in touch with you if you want us to do a quick assessment of your environment. And that's a kind of service that we provide, wherein we assess the entire environment. We tell you what are the estimates or the time frame required to implement these solutions. So please feel free to get in touch with us so that we can do these kind of assessments. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you.